When it comes to learning, there are two schools of thoughts. On one side, there are people who say the best way to learn is by reading. You need to read books, you need to read good materials, you need to, a leader is a reader is a leader, and so on and so forth. On the other side, there are those that say, well, reading is not my thing. I prefer to just sit down and watch a video and watch a tutorial and watch a lecture or a teaching. So the question is, what is the best way to learn when you have between reading and watching? What is the best way you can acquire and keep information on your mind for a very long time? Let's talk about that. Hello everybody, Rocky Spito is my name and welcome to another video. On this channel, I talk about tips that can help you to be more productive on your daily life. I share with you ideas on how you can manage your time, how you can take action and do the things that you have to do in order to achieve your goals very fast. So if this is your first time on this channel, I want you to do two things right now. Number one, click on the subscribe button. Number two, click on the notification bell in order not to miss all my upcoming videos. So in this video, we are doing something very interesting. We are going to talk about something which I believe is very interesting because some people do not actually know whether they should spend their time reading material to learn or spend their time watching to learn. There was a time when books were the most reliable, the most convenient, the most accurate, and the most popular way of acquiring information. In that time, for you to get a very important piece of information, you needed to read books. That is when libraries were the most frequented places for people who were looking for information, who were looking for knowledge, who were looking for things that were not common on the street. You had to go to the library to read. You had to buy books to read. You had to open documents to be able to have specific information. But today, with the proliferation of technology, video collections on computers, on smartphones, on tablets are gradually challenging books and the reading culture. We are living in an era where it is easier to find a video than to find a book. We are living in an era where people are much more acquainted to watching things, to learning through watching than reading books. So the question about which one is more important between watching and reading is a very important question, especially in this world of technology. So today, because of the technology, learning through watching is becoming so rampant, so much so that YouTube, which is one of the platforms where you find videos on almost anything, YouTube is ranked as the most popular and the most preferred learning tool. People prefer to go on YouTube and watch videos rather than opening a book to read. Now, let me give you a few ideas about reading versus watching. The first thing is, reading is active. When you are reading, you are actively engaged into the activity. You are actually emotionally, mentally, physically engaged into the act. Your brain is into the act. Your mind is into the act. You are into the act. Meanwhile, when you are watching, most of the time it's a passive activity. You just sit down, you relax, and some other person is working while you are observing. Another thing to consider about reading is that reading gives you control over the pace at which you learn, the pace at which you acquire the information. You can decide to learn faster, you can decide to slow down, you can decide to run or to learn at an average pace. So reading gives you the control over the speed at which you receive the information. Meanwhile, watching you don't have that control. The other person decides about the pace. He could be faster or he could be slower than your normal pace. Now, talking about watching, even though watching is considered as a passive way of learning compared to reading, watching is much more practical. It's easier for you to replicate an event when learning through watching than when you are doing it through reading. There are few situations in which watching a video is much better than reading. For example, consider you want to learn how to run a program on a computer, and rather than reading in a book where the steps are listed, you have a video that shows you exactly where and how to go about it. It says go and click on the library and open this folder, click on this folder, and so on and so forth. It's much easier for you to replicate that event, to learn faster through watching that video. For example, consider you want to learn how to pronounce a certain word in a particular language. Rather than reading in a book or watching images where they show you how you need to put your lips and how you need to open your mouth and so on, you read it in you watch in a video where you can see exactly the movement that the mouth does, and you can easily reproduce it. These are the few pros and cons of reading versus watching. At the end of the day, the question still stands: which is better? There is no standard answer which will tell you reading is much better than learning through watching, or watching is much better. At the end of the day, I believe that it depends on the situation and it depends on the person. Both learning methods should be used. Personally, sometimes I read, sometimes I watch, and they both work for me depending on the situation. So I invite you to keep reading. I invite you to keep watching. And the most important thing is not just to learn, but to apply the knowledge that you learn. Remember, the power of an information is not in the hearing, but in the doing. So take action on anything you learn, and your life will never be the same again. Looking forward to seeing my next video. Go out there every single day of your life. Do something you've never done, and you will become someone you've never been.